Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to have everyone here with me today. I just want to say hello to Anessa and hello, JR. Thank you for joining me. To see who else would like to. I'd like to say hello to Tracy and hello to Carrie. Thank you both for joining me tonight. So, tonight I'll be doing spirit-led readings, and that just means that I ask your loved ones to please step forward, those who have messages for us. I start out by giving a description of how they look. I often get their personalities. I only ask of you is just to listen, and anything that you can resonate with, please comment, and then I'll just see who I feel drawn to or who matches the person stepping forward. I just want to say hello to Michelle Brown. Michelle says, good evening, Sarah and Jonah. Good evening, Michelle. We're happy to have you here. And Onessa says, hope all is well. It's pretty good tonight. I hope you're having a wonderful day or night wherever you are in the world. I'm in Alberta and it's currently 7:05 p.m. It's raining out, but a little rain never hurt anyone, right? Because after the rain comes the sun and the rainbows. And I just want to give a shout out to Nascliffe. Hi, thank you for joining tonight. I'd like to say hello to Eric. Sorry, everyone. Sorry, thank you for your patience. I'm still learning how to do it on my own. So I'd like to say a shout out to Eric. Hello, Annie. Thank you both for coming. Carrie says, I had a crazy experience today. I hope they come forward. Well, Carrie, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Hi, Sarah Smile. Nice to have you here. Thank you all for your love and support. So I always like to start by kind of explaining how I got into mediumship. When I was little, I was able to hear spirit and was somewhat aware of them. But again, I was just a child, so I wasn't really sure what I was seeing and hearing. When I would hear them, it would almost sound like if I was like hearing whispered conversations. But being a kid, I was like, okay, whatever, right? And then growing up, I would have more intuition about certain things and be more aware of people that were there that other people couldn't see. And now I know that that was spirit. It wasn't until 2021, actually November 26, 2021 specifically, my family caught the COVID virus, and unfortunately my son, he did passed away very suddenly from COVID complications. He was 20 years old, just a month shy of his 21st birthday. I remember feeling so devastated. Like I had him when I was 15, so we grew up together. He was my best friend, my confidant. I'm so proud of him and still am. I'm proud of all my children. If anything I can say that defines me is motherhood. I love being a mom. I love watching them grow everything. So when my son passed away suddenly, I was at the hospital and I remember watching them work on him and begging and crying. And I remember my legs gave out how many times. And then after everything happened, I remember going to him because they finally let us go. And I remember telling him that he's in the of the people and to come back to me. So later that night when we got home, um, we were sitting in the living room and I noticed his bedroom door was open and his bedroom light was off. And I was getting ready to get up and close his bedroom door. And all of a sudden I heard click, like the light switch, and it came on. And I was kind of like, wait, what? And then it shut off again. And then I said, Jonah. And it clicked on again. And for that split second, I thought, oh my God, I'm just, I must have drifted off. And, it was a nightmare. It didn't happen. Unfortunately, when I went to his room and I realized that, he's not there anymore, I did realize that that was my first sign from him that he heard me and he was showing me that he's going to be around. After that, I did what everyone does. You go to medium. I went to a medium and psychic fair. I did have a lovely reading with a medium there, but I also asked them, do you think that I could learn how to communicate? And she said, no, it's either you're born with it or you're not. Well, here's the thing. We're all born with it. It's just putting the time and effort. I found this group, Mediumship Communicating with the Dead, Grief and Loss, and that's where I met Hollis Taylor. I had the discovery reading with them. And after we talked, I remember asking Hollis, I said, do you think I can learn? And Hollis taught me that, yeah, you can. You just have to trust in yourself and believe in yourself. So now anytime any one of you have a reading with me, a private reading, and you ask me that, I tell you, trust in yourself. You can. For me, mediumship, not only does it bring me closer to my son, because my son is the one who helps bring your loved ones to our readings from the other side of the veil, but it also gives me that hope that I love when I'm giving a reading and they realize, yeah, that is my loved one. And, I've had readings where there was tears, there was laughter. I've cried. Any one of you who've had like a reading with me where it got really emotional, I don't let my emotions sit. I'll cry with you. I always like to show a quick picture of my son because the one promise I did make to him is that no matter what, I will always tell his story. I will find some way for people to know his face and his name. And because of Hollis Taylor having their trust in me and faith and giving me this beautiful opportunity, I have fulfilled my promise to my son. So this is my son. His name is Jonah. In this picture, he was about, I want to say 17, 18. We were walking home and that butterfly just landed on his shoulder. It's always kind of funny because my son did not like bugs at all. And I had to convince him to hold still so I can take that picture. But that's the young man that helps your loved ones come through. Before we start, I'd like to give some more shout outs to people who are joining. So Laura, hi, thank you for joining. Let's see. Joe Beth, thank you for joining. Tracy says hugs to you, Sarah. Thank you, Tracy, and hugs to you as well. And everyone who is here, I'm sending you all so much of my love to wrap around you, my strength to hold you tight, and my healing light to guide you. Danielle says, sending love. Oh, thank you, Danielle. I appreciate you all so much. Susan, hello. Beth, hi. Oh, Carrie, you're so sweet. Carrie says, and you look fabulous as always. Oh, hon, thank you. So I do apologize because I'm still learning how to paste from our mediumship group on to show everyone, like as Anise says, oh my OMG. So just bear with me as you all have been really bearing with me. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. Again, I just like to say that I am doing spirit-led readings tonight. That just means that as spirit steps forward and comes through, I will give you a description of how they look. I usually get their personality traits. Sometimes they'll share a special memory that they shared with you, or just something that you'll be able to recognize them from. All I ask for you is that if you could listen, and if anything sounds like your person, please feel free and just let us know in the comments, okay? So I'm just going to start by taking deep breaths. I just want to say again to everyone how grateful and appreciative I am of each and every one of you. People who are new to my lives, people who have been there from the beginning and know my story. I just want to say how grateful I am to you, how grateful I am to your loved ones in spirit for trusting me to come through. So with that, I think I would like to begin. Oh, and feel free to ask your loved ones to step forward. And I also want you to know that don't feel bad if they don't. Sometimes our loved ones do prefer more of a private reading. I know before I started doing mediumship, I would always come to read like the live free mini readings, and I'd always like hope and hope and hope. And my son would sometimes come through, but it wasn't until my good friend Stacy Siegel Brickley, I was on one of her live readings, and my son came through, ironically, as a 7-year-old boy. So that's another thing I'd like to say, but I'll tell you what happened. He came through shortly, and then just before the lives were done, Stacy messaged me and said, your son has more to say to you, but he didn't want to be, and this is my son's words, a dog and pony show. My son was very private, very reserved. So I learned from that, not all the times our loved ones feel comfortable stepping in front of everyone, that some of their messages or even some of their answers to the questions you have are more private. So just by saying that, please know that your loved ones are always with you. They haven't abandoned you. They walk with you daily, always guiding and cheering you on. And never stop coming to the lives, because you never know. Maybe one day they'll get brave and come through. Or if you want more of a private reading, you can see my headlines, Sarah Red Crow on Psychic Insights.life -2. I just want to say hello back to Alexandria and Moe. Thank you. Hello. She says, hello, Sarah. Good evening. Good evening. It's good to see you back. It's been a while. I hope you're doing good. Okay. So with that. Let's get started. Oh, so for Danielle, they say, really hoping my loved ones come through. And please, can I have a reading? So, Danielle, I see your next thing. Um, Danielle asking your loved ones to come through is beautiful. And Tracy, thank you for asking your lovely husband to come through as well. Okay, well, let's start. Let's start. So I do have a gentleman stepping forward. He's taller. I'd put him between 5'10" to maybe 6 foot. Very broad shoulders. He's a little bit older. Um, I would put him between the ages of later 50s, early 60s. He has his head's bald, but he does have a white mustache. It kind of goes down. Um, he keeps smiling. And I feel that when he would find something like amusing, his cheeks are like turning like almost like a red as if he was blushing. He's showing me him wearing a guy's like tank top, but with a thicker, or not the thin sleeves. Um, it on the front, so it's black, but on the front, I see a motorcycle and then like an eagle. He's wearing blue jeans, and on his feet, he kind of has those, they almost look like work boots. They're black leather, but I feel more that they were like motorcycle boots, if that makes sense. I'm really getting like that Harley Davidson logo vibes to these boots. They have a belt buckle on them and then like two silver like circles. Um, so he was showing me. I do feel that he's fit, but he still has that kind of like that beer belly. But he was just saying he's patting his belly, and he goes, "It's not just beer." He goes, "It's good living and enjoying life." Would anybody be able to resonate with him or know who this gentleman is? So Tracy says, sounds like my husband. I want to say, Tracy, that I do feel that it is him because I do recognize him. Um, would you understand, Tracy, that he comes up and he puts, sorry, I kind of wish that I'm still learning how to use the camera, but he puts his hand out and he says, "Hello, darling. Can I have this dance?" Um, would you be able to recognize that? So Tracy says, everything resonates so far. So I do feel that I have Tracy's husband. Um, Tracy, the message that he's giving to you is, he says, honey, he says, I know it's been really hard. He says, I just want you to know that I love you so much. And he says, he says, you're stronger than what you think and what you feel right now. Tracy says, yes, we love to dance. He has said that to me. Oh, he was just saying, he goes, "She is the best dancing partner I ever had." Would you understand, Tracy, that he was kind of indicating that in the beginning of your guys' relationship, you're a little bit shy, like you didn't really I see him like pulling you on the dance floor and you're like, "No, no, I'm good. I'm good." Um, he says though that once you got comfortable, he says that he says she would amaze me. He says it wasn't about just the dancing, that you put him in awe since the moment you met. Um, he was just saying too about the life that you two led together. He says, "I know it wasn't as long as we wanted or planned." He goes, "But I'm still there with you." He says, "Don't you forget." He says, "I'm still around." He was mentioning your guys' son. He says, "I'm so proud of my boy for all the accomplishments that he has done in his life." He also mentions not just your son, but all your kids. And did you recently have a grandchild born? So Tracy says, "Yes, I was shy until I got comfortable. He made me comfortable." He says he was just laughing. He goes, "It was the twinkle in his eye." Because when I look at him and he's smiling, I just see like his eyes just, they sparkle. Just gonna ask. And Tracy just says, "I'm so happy he's proud of me and the kids." He says always, he says that was one of his greatest achievements in life, was his family. Did he also like to ride a motorcycle? I just keep on, he's showing me him like sitting on this motorcycle and he's like revving it up. And I keep on hearing that Born to Be Wild song. He's just like showing me him sitting on this Harley and he's like revving it up. And I hear, "Get your motors running, head out on the highway." He says that you and your family were one of his greatest adventures. Tracy says his Harley was his baby. He says, "No, hun, you were my baby first." He goes, um, he says, "But I do apologize," because he was showing me that he spent a lot of time not only polishing his Harley, but working on it, tinkering it. Tracy said, "We rode everywhere together." He says, "Baby, don't worry." He says, "When all is said and done," he says, "I know right now life seems so long and hard." He says, "But when all is said and done," he says, "we'll be riding together." He goes, "But don't be afraid to live your life." He says, "Don't be afraid of that, okay?" Tracy says, "Oh my God, sometimes I felt second." He says, "When it counts," he says, "you are always my number one." Do you still have his motorcycle? He was showing me, it's like, I feel that it's parked in a garage and there's like a tarp over it. He was just saying, he goes, he says, "Make sure you shine, my baby." He says, "I'd love to see you ride again." He says, "Girl, I'm always with you and our kids." He says, "My body might have gave out." He goes, "But," he said, "my spirit's strong." And he says, "You know when he's there." And he loves you so very much. I just want to thank you, Tracy, and thank you, Joe, for coming through tonight. So I just wanted to acknowledge Maui. Yeah, it's been a while. It's August, our most saddest month for us. I'm sending you so much love Um, if I remember correctly, this month is your son's angel date. I just want to tell you that I'm sending you so much love and strength because, especially grief, the road of grief is hard and it's a very long road. But know that you don't walk it alone, okay? I'm here to help you say hello again and know that your beautiful, beautiful boy is still very much around you. Michelle just says, Dan, please come forward. I miss you. And you know what, Michelle? Keep asking him. And just know that he's, even if I am unable to give him a voice tonight, that he is still very much with you. But I am totally open. So any spirit who'd love to bring forth a message. Melissa, I just want to say hello to you as well. Tracy, she says, okay, thanks for telling me that. No, but the tank is his urn. Okay. So Tracy was just acknowledging about when I mentioned if his bike was still in the garage. And Tracy is just saying that no, the tank is his urn. That's very, very special considering how much he did care and love for his bike. Tracy also says, I miss riding. It's been over 5 years. Tracy said, thank you so much for bringing Joe through. I needed that. Danielle says, praying my loved ones will come through. Well, the night is young and I'm not, but I will go until every last person who steps forward gets to say their message, okay? Alexandria says, yes, we miss you, Dan. And Molly says, yes, thank you so much. It still hurts. And you know, Molly, that loss of a child is a pain that I don't think would ever go away. But we do learn to navigate. I always tell everyone, whether your loss would be a child or your parent, any loved one, that is forever. But we do learn to walk through it and learn to navigate it. I always say hold space for each feelings. I do have a young boy stepping forward. He looks to be, I would put him between the estimated ages between 8 to maybe 10. He has the most beautifulest big brown eyes. His hair is a darker brown. It's a little bit longer, but I feel that he's had it short. But I just get this feeling that he did not really like his hair cut. He was showing when he showed me his hair, because right now it's just a little bit not past his ears, but it kind of goes in his face a bit, and he like shakes it. He's wearing a blue t-shirt. On the bottom of the t-shirt, it kind of looks like waves, and he's wearing green shorts. And he has this cute little half smile where it's that mix between mischievous and that smile he has just can make anyone just their day better, is the best way I can put it. He is showing me that on his wrist, it looks like he's wearing almost like a little shell bracelet, but I do feel it's more like homemade because the bracelet itself, it looks like kind of that woven like twine. Like I keep on thinking like, you know, those, what are they called? Like puka necklaces, that style. So Maui says, oh my God, do you think this is my boy? You know what, hun? I do really feel that this young boy is your son. Would you understand that he was showing me he loved being outside, but do you live somewhere kind of where there's like beach, like almost like ocean setting? He was showing me it. I don't want to say like a surfboard, but like a shorter. I do feel that he did love to spend a lot of time out on the water. Um, Very helpful because he was showing me out being out on the water and kind of like he's just sitting there, but kind of like paddling with his hands. But then I also see him right beside his mom. And do you have a longer dark hair? Because the woman that I'm seeing him standing by, her hair is a little bit longer, dark, and he's just when he looks up to her, all I feel is this amazing love. So, Maui says he loves going to the beach. Would you understand? Did he call you, especially like when he was little, like call you like mama? And then as he got a little bit older, it was more mom. And do you also have he's making me feel that he's an older sibling because he's showing me a little girl. This little girl, I do feel she's still on this side of the veil with us. Um, she looks, I want to say she looks between like maybe 3 or 4. And I see like pigtails. Okay, so oh, he says, I do have long black hair. He calls me mom. Would you understand that he would, like, anytime when you were upset or had something on your mind, the feeling that I get from him is he was so in tune to your feelings that even when you tried to keep them to yourself, he would just know. And I see him coming up to you and like patting your arm, and he would have this serious little look on his face, like he wanted to know what was wrong. Would you understand that? Okay, so Molly says he has a sibling but younger. And is this sibling a girl? Because he is showing me this little girl. And do you often put her hair in pigtails? He said he puts his hand on his chest and he says, I'm a big brother. He's very like proud of the fact that he's a big brother. He wants you to know that he never left your side. He says, Mama, it's okay. He goes, I'm safe. He says he hears you often when you talk to him. He, do you ever notice? Because I do feel that his younger sibling is quite young. At first, I was thinking maybe between that age is like 3, 4, but I'm thinking a little bit younger. I do feel that he visits with her often because he's kind of showing me him like crouching down on the floor in front of her while she plays. Always says he is a very responsible big brother. He says that he loves his little sister so much. Do you often, because like what he's making me feel now is that after his passing, it's like you're more hyper, like more, how can I, like you're more hyper focused. So like if you're younger, your daughter like gets sick or something, like you kind of panic. He was just saying, it's okay, mom. He says, it's okay. It's not like he understands that that fear of losing another child is very deep rooted. And I know that fear as well. After my son passed, anytime like his sisters get sick or something and I'm in a panic, He wants you to know that he's watching over her, and he says, "I won't." He says, "I protect her, mom." He also shows me while you're sleeping. I don't know if you ever feel like him like touching your hair or like your face, but he was showing me it looks like you're sleeping on your side, and he's comes and he like touches your hair and kisses your cheek. So I says, yes, I do panic because of what happened to him. He wants you to know that you are an amazing mother. He says that he couldn't have asked for a better mother. He says, "You're still my mother." He says, "I'll find you again." He says that he wants you to know that he felt like a lucky boy. That's what he says. He says, "I'm a lucky boy." He says, "My mom loves me very, very much." He also mentions his father too. He says um, that his mom and his dad, that he hears you both, and that he says, "I am sending them big hugs." He puts his arms out, and he's just as if he's wrapping them around you both. He wants you to know too that on throughout your daily life, he is there very much with you. He says that my mom can hear him. So when he says that, do you sometimes hear like almost like footsteps when no one is around? He was just showing me like him walking, and it kind of looks like he's trying to like stomp his feet a bit so you could hear him. But he does try to send you like little signs, and that that he is very much around you. So I just want to thank you, Maui, for coming tonight, and thank your beautiful son. Um, just know that he is always around you, and it's okay, Mama. Just breathe. I just want to say, Wendy says, hoping my husband Paul comes through, and Tracy says, beautiful reading, Sarah. Thank you, Tracy. Maui just says, yes, I feel something sometimes when I'm alone working. It's almost like he just shows me either him kind of like playing with your hair, or do you ever feel like kind of like tugging at your clothing? He wants to say also, he says, my mom is so beautiful. He puts his hands on your cheeks like this, and he like looks at you and he goes, you are beautiful. I just want you to know that he is safe, and that love and that bond that you share together is never ending. It's endless and timeless. And I'm sending you so much love and light, okay? She says, yes, I do feel that. And you know what? Trust in that. Trust in him and trust in what you feel. Okay. Thank you for coming here tonight. So I do have an older lady stepping forward. She has longer hair. It's almost like a silvery white color. She's very thin build, like she's just saying, she's like, I'm not that thin, but she's thin, very tall. I'm 5'1", so she's taller than me. I would put her like maybe about 5'6", 5'7". I do feel that she was between the ages of 60 to 70, but she looks very youthful in her face. She has nice high cheekbones, a thin, narrow nose. Um, I do feel that she's come to the live before. Uh, she's wearing a longer white dress. it really gives like summer vibes because I see it kind of like ties, like comes in ties behind her neck. Um, she was showing me these beautiful gardens. So I do feel in her, where she lived, she loved gardening. I'm seeing all sorts of different flowers, like, and there's no rhyme or reason to her flower beds. She was showing me, she had like hands of like full of like flower seeds, and she just like kind of tosses them, and wherever they land, they grow. I just want to say, Mommy says he is such a sweet boy. Yes, he is sweet, and I love that little mischievous look to his eyes. Um, Mommy says, thank you so much, Sarah. You're welcome. Thank you for being here tonight. So this lady that also stepping forward, I do feel that she was very down to earth, very spiritualist. She's showing me in her windows, she would like have crystals hanging, and I keep seeing like the sunlight like bouncing off them and creating like a rainbows around. Um, when I look around the room, I do see like a kitchen area, and she was just saying that she loved seeing like all the different rainbows. Like that was like one of her favorite places in her home. Um, I do hear a bunch of wind chimes as well. And she was saying that she is very good with the herbs and that, and she does use the term kitchen witch. And she laughs and she goes like this after she says it. She goes, I know some people find that like, ooh, witch, but she said, that's what I am. She's like, she mentions about going through her phases of maiden, mother, crone. And she says, I lived each of them fully and embraced each and every one of them. Would anybody be able to recognize this beautiful soul? So Jo Beth says, hoping my beautiful husband Michael comes through. Carrie says, I was about to say I'm having deja vu, or she's been here before. Um, so Carrie, yes, I was kind of having deja vu, and I was like, wait a minute, I recognize her. She was just saying, she goes, yeah, she goes, I kick around. She goes, at first, if you don't succeed, try again. She's very, very down to earth. Like, she was more happy being in more of like that wooded set, like woods forest setting than like she says in the concrete jungle, is what she says. Would anybody be able to recognize her? Laura says, no, sorry. And honestly, Laura, no need to say sorry. I think that's a beautiful thing about doing the live free mini readings, because it's not only giving people on this side of the veil who come to the lives that hope and chance of connecting with their loved ones, but it also gives our loved ones in spirit that chance. Carla says, hello, Carla. Thank you for joining us tonight. So Carrie says, is her name Jenny? You know, I could ask Carrie, what can you take from her? I sometimes don't always get names. Um, it was funny. So I don't know, Carrie, if this would mean anything to you, but do you remember that movie Forrest Gump with the actress or the character Jenny on that? As soon as I read, is her name Jenny, she showed me like Forrest Gump and that scene with him and his best friend Jenny. So I'm not too sure if the movie is a reference that she's trying to give hints to. I'm just going to ask, hon, is your name Jenny? So when I asked if her name was Jenny, she didn't acknowledge yes it was or no it wasn't, but she just gave me this like little smile. and she like turns her head like this. So I'm going to ask Carrie, do you recognize her? So another little thing that she is showing me is do you know those dolls you can make like out of corn husk and that? She keeps on like showing me these little corn husk dolls that she would make. Carrie said, I had a great Aunt Jenny. I never met her, but my family would say she was a witch. I feel like her kitchen seems familiar to me. I feel like she might be for me. Carrie, okay, would you understand like her kitchen? So the house that she's showing me, I feel it is more like a cottage setting. It would have been smaller. And when I say that, I mentioned like gardens earlier, like literally on the outside of her house, I see like climbing vines. And Carrie said she had those dolls. So would you understand? And Carrie, I know it'd be kind of hard because if you never met her, but she is showing me and she's like snapping her fingers and she goes, I know someone would recognize me. So, Carrie, I do feel that I am drawn to you. She was just saying she wants to acknowledge and say that she has watched you for many, many years because I do feel it's been a while since she's passed. Carrie just says, yes, she had a small house with vines and woods around. And I don't know if you've ever been into her kitchen, but it was very like sunny. Or this is how she's making me feel like it's sunny, and I keep on seeing like yellow walls. Like, and so I'm kind of wondering if you can recognize that. Carrie says, every time she's here, I'm here. Um, she wants you to know that she's very proud of everything that you have accomplished. She does say for you to let loose a little bit, not in the sense of like go out and party or anything like that, but she says that you have come so far with everything that you have done, but she says that you've kind of been holding back on being your true self. Would you understand that, Carrie? And Carrie says, yes, the walls were yellow. She so she's giving you the message and she like brings back and she's like, don't you just love it? She says they're so sunny. She's really saying that for her, the sun just gave her that energy. She's showing me, and I don't know if you know this, but she's showing me her kind of sunbathing out in her yard. Um, she said that she was like her flowers where the sun would just feed her. She says, hun, she says, don't be afraid to be your authentic self. She says, don't conform to what others want. She says, be weird. Be weird if you want to be weird. She says, believe me, I wore that badge proudly. Carrie says, yes, I'm trying to figure out who I am, especially after losing my dad, brother, and best friend. And, you know, that's a hard thing to try to do. I get what you mean about trying to find out who you are and figure out who you are. I know for myself, that's something that I keep asking myself, who are you? Like, who am I now? Carrie just says, from what I was told about her, it sounds just like her. She is saying that you remind her a lot of herself. She says that don't worry, you'll reach that particular age where you're more focused on you and what you want. She says, but she says, don't wait too long to reach that stage in life. She goes, because you blink and she's like, then you're where I am. So Carrie says, I actually thought about a book I had taken from her house when I was little the other day out of nowhere. She the book she had, I feel it's not so much like a storybook, but I'm just trying to like she was saying that it wasn't so much a storybook, but more of she says you'll get good wisdom from that book. She keeps on showing me different herbs and that. Would you understand that? It was again not more of a storybook, but more of almost like I want to say encyclopedia of like different herbs and flowers. So she was just saying, do you also share a love of books for her? Because she was also showing me she had like a whole, it almost looked like a built in shelf in her house. And she had like rows upon rows of different books. Carrie just said there were a few. I was thinking about an old German book. Okay. Danielle just said, would love to hear from my grandparents, hoping they come through, or any other messages from loved ones. And Danielle, definitely don't be afraid to ask them to come through. So, Carrie, I do feel like from her message, strong and true, that's what she says, is don't be afraid to be you. She was mentioning that a lot of times where you're always helping others, she says it's okay to take a break and let others help you. And when she says that, she's like, let others help you. Carrie says, I like to have books, but I don't read them much. She's laughing. She's like, you'll get to them when you get to them. She says sometimes, she says for her books and that were more of a comfort. She says, I didn't always just sit and read all the time, but it was a comfort to know that they were there if I wanted. She was saying that knowledge is power. And whether you get that knowledge from a book or life experience, she said, never give up and never try to, she says, don't try to fit the form. And she's showing me like a mold. Like, say if you're making chocolate or something, you know how you have the different shapes. And she was like literally showing me you like inside this like mold, and you're like kind of moving your shoulders like, oh, this doesn't fit. She says, break out of that. She says, you be you and do what you want. She says, you've earned it, kiddo. She says that I'm always there with you. She says, I'm with my family, all my family. She's she's laughing. She says, I'm still the black sheep, but I'm proud of it. So with that, so Tracy just says, great reading, Sarah. You're a beautiful soul. Oh, thank you, Tracy. I feel the same about you. Carrie says, when my brother and I were little, he thought there were vampires in her house that no one lived in. I'm sure she saw us investigating it. Oh my goodness. So did you guys, while you're investigating her house, ever like your brother, because she was showing me her like kind of creeping up behind him and like tapping him on the shoulder. Um and she was also showing me like her throwing like a little pebble or something and just hear it like making little like noises throughout the house while you guys were there. She said that children were her greatest joy, but I feel that she might not have had her own. Carrie just says, yes, the family made her seem like a wild child. I loved hearing about her. She does sound like a very beautiful person. And she was saying that to some people, what might seem wild is tame to others. She goes, but you be, again, her message, very strong and clear, is you be what makes you happy. Carrie said, no, she didn't have children. Okay, I was getting that feeling because she was saying that she loved children. She said the innocence of them, the way that they're not afraid to ask the awkward question. She said that if you want to put a smile on your face, she said, have a conversation with the child. She says, unfortunately, this life didn't give her the opportunity to have children, but she says she never got tired of just being around them. And Carrie just says, I feel like she's been influencing me lately. And you know what? Go with that, Carrie, and follow your intuition, follow your instincts. Live life the way that fits you. And just know that your loved ones are very much around you. But Carrie is very in tune to her loved ones. So I'm sure that that is not a problem at all. I do want to say thank you, Carrie, for coming to my live again. And thank you to your lovely great aunt, Jenny. She's a beautiful soul, just like you are. I had the pleasure of giving Carrie a reading before, and she is truly a beautiful soul. So thank you again, Jenny, for coming through. So I do have a gentleman stepping forward. He's very, very handsome. He's tall. He's showing me him in almost it looks like a business suit. His suit is kind of like that, almost like a steel gray color, like not a dark gray, but a little bit lighter, but it almost kind of makes me think of stainless steel. The dress shirt he's wearing with it's a deeper, like maroon color. And then his tie he has on is black. He's wearing very shiny dress shoes. I would put him in the ages like maybe like early to like late 40s. He's tall, very fit. I do feel that he spent quite a few time like either out in the sun, because he kind of has that sun-kissed tan look to him. His hair is almost like a golden brownish, very, very chiseled jawline, narrow nose, and he has almost like his eyes look like I want to say like a greenish blue. Would anybody be able to recognize him? He is showing me that he wears a gold ring. I want to say a wedding ring. He always has this kind of like amused look on his face. So when he stepped forward, he kind of gave me this smile, but he's like, I do get from his personality that he was very good at business. I do feel that he might have worked in an office, because he's showing me he's carrying a black briefcase. And he's showing me a watch. It has like a gold band. And for some, I don't know if it was a nervous tick for him, but he's like always seems like he's fiddling with his watch. Like that, and like kind of tucking on his like shirt sleeve. I think it was kind of like a nervous tick for him. Would anybody be able to recognize him? Oh, I just want to say, Carrie just said, thank you so much for this. I just keep getting this feeling she was here for me. And thank you, Jonah. Oh, thank you, Carrie. And thank you for coming and being able to recognize your beautiful aunt. So let's see. He was showing me. So from him, it was like he was night and day when it comes to personalities. When he was at his work, he was all about business, very smart. I keep on hearing like strategizing, like he knew how to like strategies and everything. He is showing me, and this is where I'm kind of curious, because he was showing me a red car. I'm not really great with cars, but like I want to say it was like a Ferrari type, like those smaller little race cars. Um, he's showing me that when the door opened, it would like lift upwards. But he was also showing me when he was at home, like he was a complete like family guy. Um, he was showing me two children, a little boy, little girl. The little boy has like blonde hair, and the little girl, her hair is a little bit more darker. She's a little bit younger than the boy. He was just showing me him getting out of his car, and I see them like racing to him, and he would like just scoop them up. So when he was at home, like he was very involved with his children. He said that he would try his best to kind of keep work at work and home at home. Would anybody be able to recognize him? I do feel that he did leave kind of like that fast paced life, very fluid, going back and forth. So he just had like a really good sense of himself and how to manage. He said that he was always juggling, not in the like with the balls, but like he knew how to like have that balance. Would anybody be able to recognize him? Sonia says, hi, Sarah Redco. Hi, Sonia. Thank you for coming tonight. I hope you're doing well, lovely. Okay, so I'm just going to see if he can show me anything else. So I do feel that where he was showing me, because there was this like long stretch of road, I do feel that he lived more in like that suburbia area, and he would have to go to get into work to more into the city. The interesting thing is, as he's showing me him driving, like I see mountains on one side, and then it almost seems like the road is like a bridge across, and there's like water, like an ocean. I keep on wanting to say like California area. I don't know why, or San Francisco. I keep on getting that vibe. I've never been to either place, but that's exactly what I keep hearing, is like that kind of San Francisco. Would anybody be able to recognize this gentleman? Okay. Well, I'm just going to ask him if he has any messages for us tonight. He was just saying that he just wanted to let his family know that he is okay. He says that I just wanted to let my little boy and my daughter know that daddy loves them very much. I do feel that his wife, because he was showing me a woman, she's petite, blonde hair, kind of comes like she looks like she wore her hair in a bob. Um, he's showing me her kind of like in like the leggings. So I feel that she was, I don't want to say like athletic, but he says that my wife lived in those leggings. Um, he just wants them to know that he's okay, and he visits them often. He says that I want them to know that daddy never left. So with that, I am just going to tell him thank you for coming through tonight. And I'll see who else is here. So again, normally I do spirit-led readings. But the spirit that's stepping forward, I recognize her. So, Eric, if you're still watching, I have Lindsay here. She's so cute. She's going like this. So Lindsay is usually very shy. She just wants to let you know. She says, "Baby, I was there today." She was saying that Roman looks so cute. He's such a big boy now. She was describing his classroom. She was showing me around the walls. It was like the border with the ABCs, and I'm not too sure if he mentioned, because it was the first day, but they're getting more into like bigger stuff. She was showing me him. There's like a for multiple like subtraction and everything, and she was just saying, she goes, but he's just little. She was letting you know. She goes, I know that you were really thinking of me today. She says, but I just want you to know that I was there. She was mentioning about your daughters being in high school. Is one of them graduating? Because she was showing me I believe the older daughter, but she had like the cap and gown. So she says, don't be worried. She said she's going to get that. She said she's going to graduate. She says, so I think you'll be able to like, you know what she means. Anyways, she says, I love you. I love our kids. She mentions the kittens that they've grown. She goes, don't worry, baby. She's like, they'll find homes. You'll find homes for them. I just wanted to give you that message quickly. And she's blowing you kisses. She says, I love you so much. Never forget that. So thank you, Lindsay, for stepping forward tonight. So Tani says, hi, Sarah. Hope you're well. Would love a reading if my spirit family came through. Well, thank you, Tani. Thank you for coming here. And definitely feel free to ask them. I do spirit-led readings. So that just means that whoever in spirit would like to step forward, I will give a description of how they look, how sometimes I'll get their personality, or they'll share a memory. So all I ask is just listen. And if anyone you recognize, please feel free to reply in the comments. Okay. Thank you for coming tonight and showing your support. I greatly appreciate that. And I appreciate that from everyone who's here tonight. So Eric says, yes, I'm here. Well, Eric, it took a lot because she was so nervous. But she just wanted to give you that message. And I hope that you understand what she was showing me about your son's classroom. And she was just saying, she's like, oh my goodness, my baby has grown so much. And she says, I'm always there with all of you. So I just want to quickly give a shout out to Heather. Just saw that that I was live. She says, hello, my beautiful friend. Hello, Heather. Thank you for joining tonight. Sonia says, I'm hoping Malachi steps forward. Definitely, Sonia. Don't be afraid to ask him to step forward. He's such a lovely boy. So Tani says, okay, no worries. I will listen and pray they come through. And you know what? That's beautiful. That's the best way to just ask them to step forward. Okay, let's see who else I have tonight. So I do have an older lady stepping forward. She's kind of shorter. I would put her, she looks to me that she was probably in her maybe, I want to say 80s, not quite older than that. I would put her maybe around 5'1" at best. She does have that famous grandma hair. I think everyone is familiar with it, at least I am, where their hair literally looks like a halo around them. The only difference is that her hair is completely black. She reminds me of a lot. You know that Sophia from Golden Girls, that character? She reminds me a lot like her. She's short. She's wearing a black dress. It has like a little bit of a scoop neckline. And then she shows me that she would wear like pearls. And then I see another necklace with a gold chain, and it looks like a little cross on it. She is wearing the gold wireframe glasses. When she smiles, is like just one of those grandma smiles that just you can look, and no matter how your day is going, you know that it's going to be all right. She is saying that she loved baking. So that's, she says, I was known for my baking. She's not just showing me cookies and that, but like cinnamon buns. That's the one thing that I'm like smelling the cinnamon, and her cinnamon buns were like huge. She also says that she goes, those cinnabons and that, those places have nothing on me. I do feel that like her personality was kind of matter of fact, but in a loving way. Like she'd tell you how she's seen it and how it was, but she would spin her grandma. I keep on hearing the like Nona, and I do feel that that's another term for grandmother. So would anybody be able to recognize her? Eric just says, thank you so much, Sarah. You're welcome, Eric. I always love when Lindsay comes through. She's beautiful. Eric says, I do. Yes, absolutely. I was asking her to come through and tell me she was with us today at school. Yes, she was most definitely there. Um, she said that she hung out with him for most of the day. So she says, I'm always there, but you know that. So Heather just says, asking and praying that Jaden comes through. You know, I need to hear from him badly. And Heather, definitely don't be afraid to ask him to step forward. So I just want to say, always said, thank you so much, Sarah. You made my day. Thank you. Thank you. I need to leave now because I need to prepare my kids for school. You know, I hope you have a blessed rest of your day. And thank you for being here tonight. And your son is such a beautiful, beautiful boy. Thank you. Would anybody be able to recognize this? I'm going to just say Nona because that's how she's saying it. She goes, I'm Nona. Okay. It's funny because she kind of got this. Okay. She was saying that she has like a big family. She says that you would find her in her kitchen most of the time, unless her shows were on. So she shows me her sitting in like a recliner, but her recliner had like that. It almost reminds me kind of like a recliner rocking chair. The arms, they were the darker wood arms, and she would like sit there. And once her show was on, it was like, you don't bug me. When I was like looking at her TV, because she has like one of those older TVs, you know, like the tube TVs, where around it is the wood. I think we all grew up mostly with these TVs. I know I recognize it. It looked a lot like the one that I had growing up. So, Carrie says, was she from Italy? Did she speak English or Italian when she was alive? So, Carrie, I do feel that she does have some Italian background because I do recognize Nona as Italian for grandmother. I do feel that she was fluent in both language. Um, but when she got the chance, she said that she would talk with her grandchildren in like the traditional Italian because she said that that was something that was important that she wanted her children and grandchildren. She says throughout the generations, she says um, it's she says it's good to know your traditions. Carrie, would you be able to recognize her? Oh, and then let's see. So Laura, she is Italian, my nanny, but no glasses. So Laura, would you be able to what all can you take? Because I'll just give a quick recap. Like she was quite short. I would put her between like 5 foot to 5'1". Um, she had like that traditional, like that grandma hair where it was like in curlers and then kind of gets fluffed out. It always reminds me of like a halo. I would put her in between like her age, like 80s. I wouldn't put beyond 90s. Um, she was showing me her wearing like a black dress. It had a little bit of a scoop, and then a scoop neck. Sorry, short sleeves. She's wearing a pearl necklace, and then I see like another gold necklace chain with like a little cross. And she does mention how she mentions her baking. So the one thing that I smelled right away was like cinnamon buns. She was like showing me her making these giant cinnamon rolls. And then she does say that like hers, um, she mentions like Cinnabon and that they had nothing on her cinnamon buns. Um, okay, so Laura says 4'5". Okay, that's not quite 5 foot, but yeah. And what about her hair? So her hair, sorry, I was describing the shape in that, but her hair was like black. Like it was really, really dark. I was just asking her if that was natural or if she dyed it, but she was, she winks at me and she goes, it's natural. And then she winks. Uh, Also, she says that she loved her family very deeply. She does mention that when her shows came on, that was that was her time. Would you be able to understand? So I just want to say, I thought it was my Nona, but oh, Carrie, sorry. Uh, I'm getting used to it, people. Carrie says, I thought it was my Nona, but she only spoke Italian. Okay. Carrie says, at first I thought it was my grandmother, but her hair was brown and she didn't dress like that. Carrie says, definitely not mine. They've been gone a very long time. And Carrie, that's totally fine. I like the how I say at the beginning. If anything sounds like your loved ones, please speak up. Okay. And then Laura says, not baking, only cookies. And then Laura asks smoking. And by smoking, you're asking if she smoked. I don't feel she did. Um, just ask her, ma'am, did you smoke? She was saying no. She goes, no, no. She was showing me that she did enjoy a good card game every once in a while, and I keep on hearing gin rummy. which I feel is a card game. I'm not familiar with card games, but I do feel she was showing me well, cards. Carla says mine had white hair and it looked exactly like the Golden Girl lady, but mine was Hispanic. Oh, that's exactly how she like gives, like when I see her, that's how I see her, as like that Golden Girls, like Sophia. And Carla says played solitary all the time. Carla, so I know that you said about had white hair, but would you know, did she have darker hair when she was younger? Because the thing that I should have mentioned and I forgot, that a lot of times when our loved ones are in spirit, they'll show up as either a younger age or they can look however they want. I know sometimes when my son comes through to other mediums, he'll come in as a 7-year-old. And what else, Carla, would you be able to take? I know that you said that your grandmother is Hispanic, um, but I kept on hearing like Nona, unless you there was another term. And would you understand that like when her family would come to see, she would just get this huge smile on her face, like always welcoming. Um, she was saying that she would always she would always give advice. Sometimes she said people didn't want to hear how she would give the advice because she would speak her mind and say it how she sees it. But she never turned anyone away. So Carla says she did. We called her Nana Chica, which means little Nana. Oh, that's so cute because she was short. Carla, would you understand her having that like pearl necklace? And honestly, when she was showing me that dress, I couldn't help but feel that it might have been what she was laid to rest in or at her services. Because I do kind of get that feeling from her that in every day she would be more like wearing like pants or, something more comfortable. And then Tracy said, could be my grandma, but she was 90, jet black hair in her 80s. She loved playing cards with the girls. Okay, and Tracy, would you understand any of the other things that I said? Like I know you said about the jet black hair. Was she quite short? Because I do feel like she was like later 80s, maybe like early 90s, but not past 90. Um, she was telling me that she was like the go-to for advice, but some people liked her advice, but some people didn't because she would really tell it how it was. She said I wouldn't sugarcoat things. She says sugar's for baking and sweetening coffee. So just between Carla and Tracy, would either of what I just said be able to recognize? Sometimes I do get what it's called piggybacking, where there's more like two come in at once. And then Tracy said, yes, she was short. Okay. And would you understand, Tracy, about when I said she was like the go to for everyone to come get advice, that she would also give people the benefit of the doubt? And then Tracy said we called her Nana Faye. So, and that's a great thing too, is like sometimes, like where I was thinking I heard Nona, like I don't get names very often, but Nona, Nana, and would you understand, did she wear like the gold wireframe glasses, Tracy? And Carla just says, I can't remember, but she wore like MoMAs all the time, but her hair like a halo all the time. My great grandma passed at 94. So I'm just trying to see who I feel more drawn to. Carla. So when she would wear the momos, did she have like she had different ones? Like the one that I'm also being shown, it was kind of like a lighter pink with like big flowers around on it. Because I do feel that I have two that step forward and I'm just trying to separate them. So I do feel that I do have your grandmother, Carla, and I do feel connected to Tracy as well. So Tracy says, yes, everyone went to her for advice. She did have wireframe glasses. Okay, so Tracy, I'm just going to focus on you for a quick second, and then Carla, I'll be right back to you. Because like I said, I did feel both. So, Tracy, your grandmother's just saying, hi, dear. She says, I love you very much. Tracy, were you kind of a grandma's girl? She was showing me when you were little that you're kind of glued to her hip. And would you understand that when if you were standing beside her, she would like pull you in and almost like pat your shoulder? So Tracy says, my nana wore moo moose at night, but slacks and a blouse in the daytime. That's what I was kind of feeling because the dress that she was stepping forward in, it felt more like a formal, as if maybe it was like a dress that she might have been laid to rest in. But I really got more that she was more comfortable. How she's saying is like wearing, she says, house clothes. Tracy says, yes, she helped raise us. She was saying that her job as a mother and as a grandmother, she took very seriously. She says that she was never a judging woman. Would you understand that? She says that that's the problem is too many people want to judge instead of lending a hand. She says that's what you do when family is having a hard time is you stand up, you rise up and you help them. Tracy says, yes, I was very close to her. She's saying that you were always her little helper. She mentions that you're a beautiful, beautiful little girl. And she says you're a beautiful woman. She says that you have such a kind heart and she's very proud of you. Um, she does mention that I know she says that she mentions about you needing to get answers. And I feel that it was more like medically because she was showing me your legs. She says, don't just let them push you off or brush you off to the side. She says, don't be afraid to get in the doctor's face. Tracy just says she was an excellent cook and loved to bake. Bake. Tracy says I was her sidekick. She said that you were such a helpful little girl. She says that with you, she didn't have to ask you more than once, but you were quick to go and help. Um, she says, I know that life has been very hard and very tough. She goes, but she says, my dear, you still have life to live. She says, don't worry. She says, we'll be here. We'll be here. We're not going anywhere. She says, I just want to see you enjoy your life as best as you can. She tells me to tell you that in the end, everything will be all right. She says, but don't lose your voice. She says, don't be afraid to speak up. She says, even if you have to give a little bit of a push. She's just kissing your hands and blowing you kisses. I just want to say thank you again, Tracy, for coming here. And thank you to your beautiful Nana. She says she's waving. Would you understand when you would leave or something? She would like wave like this, and I hear bye bye, like, bye bye. So thank you, Tracy, for being here tonight. Um, so, Carla, I do feel that your grandma also is stepping forward. The first thing that she shows me is her literally coming up to you and wrapping you in the hugest hugs. She was really known for, she was short and small, but she had strong hugs. Would you understand that? Um, she was just showing me again. Tonight's like, I feel tonight is a kitchen theme. She was showing me her in the kitchen, and I feel that part of her love language was cooking for her family. And would you understand that she had quite a extended family as well? She was just saying that she says with food, it can, she says with food, it can make any situation better, because she was saying that a lot of times, like if we're angry or that, she says, she shows me her like putting a bowl. It looks like so it looks like a bowl of soup, and I'll just describe what I'm seeing. So the broth itself looks red, but then it almost looks like kind of like dumpling style inside. And then I see like meat, and she's saying that when you eat, especially like warm soup or something, and it warms you from the inside, she says it lets your heart kind of loosen on that anger. She says also having a good heart helps. Um, she was saying that she's very proud of all of her family. She says that when she mentions when she was a little girl, that she she said that when she was a little girl, like she did go through some hardship, meaning more so she was like kind of showing me her having to help her family out, like do odd jobs. Would you understand that, Carla? But she was also saying that by doing that, it made her appreciate everything that she got in life, and that she really tried to pass that on to her family, is to just be appreciative. She was saying that even though her life, her physical life is over with, but she says I'm still very busy. She goes, I'm busy. She says I'm busy in spirit. She goes, she mentions when she got on the other side, because not only was her family huge on this side of the veil, but there's so many more on the other side. She says that family, she says that what makes a person, and is to always show that love. She says even those who don't have a good family structure, she says to bring them in. Would you understand that, Carla? Um, so Carla just says, yes, our family was huge. And Carla also acknowledges that, yes, that was a different time. It was. Would do you understand? Would she have kind of grown up in like that, the Depression era, and that she was saying, would you understand too? Because she was kind of showing me in her house, like she would keep certain things where some people would be like, well, why don't you just throw that out? but she would find use for every little thing. And she was saying that she tried to teach her family to like not overlook the little things because they could have use in the end. So Carla just says, yes, she had 12 kids, lots of grandkids and great grandkids. And she said that she was very blessed in that sense. Um, she said that with each new baby, it was a blessing, not only to her, but to the family, because it just means like her legacy. She says, my legacy keeps going on and on. Carla says, oh, yes, too many drawers with things. She's laughing because she says she puts her hand on her mouth and she kind of has her one hand on her belly and she's like laughing. She goes a lot of times she says someone there was always someone in the family that would like be looking for something and see her stuff and be like, why do you have this, like why? And she would just tell them, you never know when I might need something. And would you understand, she especially when she was she was showing me when people would ask like, oh, do you have she's holding up like a screwdriver, or she also holds up like a rubber band, and that when people would be asking for these things they couldn't find it, and she would just have to go into one of her drawers and she would be like, see, I told you it was there was a reason for me holding on to this. um she's also saying that, would you understand, on her walls in her house she had like so many pictures of family, and she was showing me photo albums that she would like to go through, and she would like she could her memory was really good, is what I'm getting from her, where if you were sitting there she could tell you everyone in the picture. So Carla says she was a lovely lady. She loved all of us the same way I hope she is with my sibling. She just wants you to know, she says, I'm with all of our family. Your sibling that passed, were they your a sister? Because I do have another younger lady. She looks to be maybe in her 20s, maybe 30. She's taller. I would put her like maybe about 5'5", longer shoulder length hair. Very, very pretty. So Carla just said, oh, huge stacks of old pictures, and we love to look over them all the time. And thank you for that beautiful validation. Um, she would be able to tell you everything about a certain person if she'd like point them out and be able to tell you by name. And Carla says, no, brother. And I just want to apologize, Carla, for you having a sibling in spirit. It's not easy. So I'm just going to quickly describe this other young girl. So she looks to be in her maybe 20s to 30s. She has longer, it's brown hair, but I feel like there was some like kind of like highlights or lowlights to it. Very pretty, huge smile and big brown eyes. So I'll leave that with you. She has wearing jeans and a t-shirt. And she was just showing me that she would often like paint her nails like almost look like a in between like a darker pink and a lighter red, if that makes sense. Maybe you might be able to recognize her afterwards. Your grandmother is just saying, don't worry, dear. She goes, I have your brother here. Your brother, was he taller? I want to say like almost about 6 foot, brown hair. And how he's showing me, it's kind of like a little bit longer, but kind of like messy on top. Very handsome. I would put his age, like how he's showing me, because like I mentioned earlier, our loved ones can come in at any age. This gentleman, I want to put him maybe like between 18 to mid 20s. Skinny build. He's wearing jeans, and it almost looks like one of those button up jersey like type baseball shirts. Is black, and I see some white piping, and then there's like a white shirt. He's wearing a white shirt underneath. I'm not too sure if you'll be able to recognize him, but he is stepping forward with your grandmother and the other lady that stepped forward. So I just wanted to quickly say hello to Chris. It says, "Hi everyone. I was brought here because crows and ravens are my spirit guides." And you know what, Chris? That they are mine as well. They're beautiful, beautiful birds. So Carlos says, exactly him, but he passed in his 40s. Would you understand him winking at you? And he said, "Did you listen to the lady, sis?" He goes, "I can be any age I want to be." He was saying that he goes, "When I'm this age," and he kind of like puts his shoulders like this, he goes, "Nothing hurts." I get this very playful personality. And was he your older brother? Because he was showing me him like kind of putting his arm around you, like kind of as if it was on your shoulder and his hand there. He was saying that you two were very close, like growing up. Would you understand that, Carla? So Carla says, sorry, I just want to make sure I, yes, laugh out loud. He loved to wink, very handsome. And Carla says, yes, my big brother. So he is wanting you to know. He says, it's okay, I'm safe. Um, he says, you'll always be my baby sister. He says, those times when you really are feeling down, he says, close your eyes. He says, close your eyes and think of all the mischief we got to as kids. He says, look to the stars and know that I'm looking back down at you. Um, Carly, did he have children of his own? So he was showing me a teenage boy, and then I want to say like two girls. One, I feel that the two older are kind of in their teenage phase, and then the other one is, I want to say, between like maybe 10 to 12. Both the girls have very long, dark hair. The boy looks a lot like him. So I was just curious if these were his children, but he is acknowledging them. So Laura just said, great night, off to bed. Well, good night, Laura. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so Carla just says, love him and miss him. He had all girls. Okay, so he is acknowledging the girls, and Carla says, the boy is my son. And is your son and one of his daughters around the same age? Because that's where I was kind of getting confusion, because when he was showing me them, the boy and your son and his daughter looked very close in age. He was just acknowledging that he is still very much around them, and he says thank you for always being there for his daughters. He says that, I know that no matter what, you'll always be there. So, and then Carla just says, yes, both 21, and they look young for their age. Because I was like getting like maybe around 18 or that, but he's just saying that thank you for everything that you do for him. So I just want to let you know that your loved ones are all together. They hear you and they love you very, very much. And thank you, Carla, for being here tonight. And I just wanted to. So, Amanda, I just want to say thank you for joining. Amanda says, I'm desperately looking for some kind of sign from my husband today. Oh, and then thank you, Tracy, for mentioning. So, Tracy replied to Amanda, the reading tonight are spirit led. So, whatever spirit comes through, she'll, sorry. So whatever spirit comes through, she'll describe. And if you think it's your loved one, let her know. Thank you, Tracy, for having my back and explaining that. Thank you, Amanda, for joining. And I'm so sorry that, this loss of having a husband in spirit. I've never had a partner, but in spirit, but I have lost my son, and it's so hard. But I'm here to help you say hello again. And just know, if your loved one didn't come through tonight, please know that they are still very much with you. And sometimes they just prefer more of like a private reading. I know in the beginning, before I gave readings, I would join lives and hoping for my son to come through. And sometimes he would, but my son was very shy in life. And that's one thing that I've really noticed, that our loved ones still carry their personality. So if they were shy, they might not come through, but just know that they are still very much with you and they hear you, and they do give you the signs. You just have to trust in that, trust in what you're receiving. And your signs, I've been asked, well, how would I know? For me, I really noticed when something would pop up. I know my son passed on November 26th, and I hated that number for the longest time until I realized that that was his favorite number. And now anytime when I'm having a really hard time, all of a sudden I'll just see 26 and he'll pop in my head. And that's how I know that, yes, it is him. I love this. Dottie says, what a beautiful message. Sending love to you and your family, Carla. Thank you for that. And same, Carla, sending you my love and light. Chris, oh, this is so sweet. Thank you. He says, your energy is so beautiful. Thank you so much, Chris. I noticed you did have a question earlier, so I'm just going to quickly look before we go tonight. Oh, and I'll just quickly show if anyone's interested. If you're interested in booking a private reading with me, you can. You just have to go to www.psychicinsights.life/SarahRedCrow-2. And I'd be more than happy to give you a reading. And for me, I either have the hour or the half hour. And as a lot of my clients know, that the reading will end when all is said and done. I don't rush them. So I just want to try to move this up. Sorry. Thank you for everyone's patience. So Chris, your question was, if possible, I'd like to know who this new person guy is who is coming back into my life. And this is a fascinating channel. Oh, thanks, Chris. So tonight I was doing spirit-led readings, and I'm just going to ask quickly. So this, I feel, is more of like a psychic reading. This person, I'm guessing that there's on this side of the veil still. And from what I'm hearing from spirit right now is I so I'm going to read this question and I'm just going to listen again to get this right. So Chris said, if possible, I'd like to know who this new person guy is who is coming back into my life. And this is a fascinating chat. So the one thing that I hear from spirit is, if you don't know, ask. And I know that's exactly what you're doing, but I feel that someone in your life does know this person, and I keep on hearing is, don't be afraid to reach out, because I do feel there's a bit of hesitation on your part. It's I'm also feeling that you might have had interactions with this person, but always follow your instinct and your gut. If it feels like someone that shouldn't be in your life, then close that door. But it could also be new beginnings and insights. So this is a little bit new. I'm just going to quickly pull a card for all of us tonight before we end the live. So this is yeah, like I said, new. I don't always do a tarot card, but tonight I feel more drawn to doing this. And this is just kind of one for all the group, for everyone here tonight. Beautiful. Okay, so the card I pulled, and I can't help but feel it kind of goes in with Chris's question. So the card is a justice card. And if you notice, sorry, I'm still trying to figure out my video. So if you notice the trees, there's the white and the black tree. The lady, she's blindfolded and blowing butterflies into the wind. With this card, I really feel like, for me, trees are life. I do always say that you can't have light without darkness. And I do love the fact that she's blowing the butterflies, which are definitely, when people see butterflies, they see hope, they see signs. Butterflies are happy. And she's could blow the butterflies to the light, but she's blowing it into the darkness. And to me, that just feels like, embrace both. Don't be afraid of the dark. Don't be afraid of the light. Live your life fully, honestly, and true to yourself. So, and with that, Chris, I do feel that, to get your answers, is to simply ask. I do feel that you do know the person to ask. And if you're ever interested, Chris, in booking more of a private readings, I do offer mediumship or psychic mediumship. And mediumship is just where I connect to your loved ones. A psychic reading is more where I would focus on your energy. And so if you had questions about relationships or future things like job, or if you should move or not move, that's kind of where psychic readings would come in. And psychic mediumship is basically the same, but I'll have your loved ones there too to help guide us. So Chris just said, your energy is so beautiful. Thank you, Chris. And also said, thank you so much. Love this. And many blessings to you as well. Well, I just want to say thank you. And thank you to everyone who came to my live tonight. For those of you who didn't get readings, I'm just sending you so much love and light. And I just want you to know that just because your loved ones did not come through tonight does not mean that they're not with you. Okay? I want to say thank you for everyone's support and blessing. And if you did happen to get a reading from me tonight, if you'd be ever so kind to bless me with a review on our page, either Psychic Insights or the Mediumship Communicating with the Dead, Grief, and Loss, I would be ever so grateful. I love reading the reviews, and they are a great energy exchange. Otherwise, if you're looking for a private reading, please feel free to book with me at www.psychicinsights.life/Sarah Redcrow-2. Again, I want to thank everyone who came out tonight to join the live. I appreciate each and every one of you. I am sending you all my love to wrap around you, my strength to hold you tight, and my healing light to guide you, and know that you're not alone. And even if it's just for a little while, take my hand and I'll help you say hello again. Sweet dreams and jello beans. Good night. Thank you all.